Nikki, we had results late last night from Chrysler and this morning early from Turin results from Fiat, which has a big stake in Chrysler, of course. That should give us some insight into the relative trends of the automotive industry on both sides of the Atlantic, shouldn't it? What are the results saying to you?
Oh, it does indeed. Chrysler's figures for the third quarter were very nice. Sales up a fifth, market share increasing, and operating profit up very strongly at about $700 million. And indeed, the Fiat shares were rising rather nicely on this news until the Fiat figures themselves came out. That's the group figures, but you can get the Fiat numbers out of them. And suddenly everything was suspended, limit down, as investors gulped really at the size of the debt, the net industrial debt, that's stripping out the finance side, is now over 6.7 billion
Goodness.
euros.
So, and is that, how much of that is related to the automotive side, or is it other parts of Fiat that has come in from?
It's largely the automotive operations. Essentially it's got a Latin American business. It's big in Brazil, where it has increased some market share, though trading profits are down year on year. And then this very big volume car based European business. It's heavily into Italy. That's a very important market for it. And really, quite honestly, that's dreadful.
Yes, and in fact, things sound a lot better in the US because they've taken some of the tough measures that the industry needed to take. And
there was big industrial...
Isn't that the issue in Europe still?
Yes, there was big industrial rationalisation in the US after the 2008 financial crisis and the sort of repercussions of that. In Europe, there have been plant closures. Fiat has closed one in Sicily, but the numbers are very small by comparison. And the Fiat boss, Sergio Marchionne, has been pushing. He's head of the European industry group, and he has been pushing for coordinated production cuts, but he's got nowhere. The Germans, in particular, are very opposed to this.
And so of course, they would argue they're in a different market, a more premium kind of market, I suppose, would they?
Well, I think the German Volkswagen, which it does have a volume business, although it's a rather more diversified group, has really been lapping up market share in Europe. It's got a strong finance arm, and it's been able to compete very nicely in terms of discounting and incentives. So there's not really a great deal of incentive for the strongest player in the market to go along with production cuts, which would help the weakest ones.
Okay, so Mr. Marchionne would like everyone else to take the medicine that he hasn't yet been able to apply completely to his own group, but it looks as though there are some tough decisions still to be made in the European industry. Thanks, Nikki.